With just hours to go before the start of the ANC Veterans League conference, its presidential hopeful Tony Yengeni has been barred from contesting. Yengeni was set to square up with party veteran Dr Snuki Zikalala, who is the convener of the Veterans League. He says he got an invitation that he can only attend the conference as a guest and not a delegate. SABC News reporter Samkele Maseko is with Yengeni and joins us live. A very good afternoon to you, Samkele. Tell us more.
Indeed, Nzinga, the ANC Veterans League conference does get underway this afternoon, which will be opened by the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Fikile Vuta Mbalula, at the Birchwood Hotel, which will be the third inaugural Congress of the ANC Veterans League, which was conceptualized a few years ago and was a bone of contention, particularly in the run-up to ANC conferences, on whether should the veterans be and have a voting status at ANC conferences. Former ANC Secretary General and Mantashe, and now National Chairperson, has been arguing that the Veterans League should be a council of elders that counsels the ANC leaders and should not have a voting status. But one of the controversial former ANC NEC members and former ANC NEC member of the Veterans League, Tony Yengeni, has now been placed in a situation where he can't attend the opening of the Veterans League conference, can't attend the second day, and can only go on the third day, which is the closure on a Sunday. Whether he can contest or not is debatable at this point in time. But I'm going to bring in Mr. Tony Yengeni now. Mr. Yengeni, are you contesting at this conference?
Well, some people have nominated me or they have approached me to stand for the position of the president of the Veterans League of the ANC. And I've accepted that nomination. But now I'm not sure what will happen with that nomination, because with the letter that I received late yesterday, I'm not supposed to attend the opening session of the conference. I'm supposed to be attending the closing session of the conference. Now, how does one stand for nomination and election and then is not allowed to attend the conference is something that is mind-boggling.
So at this point in time, have you been barred from contesting? What is the status of your nomination? Are you still contesting? Can you accept nomination in absentia by sending through a letter? We saw Regine Kabinde in the ANC Youth League conference in 2015 accepting nomination through a letter and was not present at the conference. What is your status currently?
I think the best people to answer that question are the people who are running conference, because they determine the rules. They know what is happening. But from my own understanding, your presence or your absence at conference does not determine your status in terms of nomination and election. If you accept nomination, you can be elected in absentia. That's my understanding. So
what was the main reason of you being barred from attending the opening and the second day of conference? Because effectively now, you'll not be part of the commissions, you'll not be part of engaging the political and organizational report. You will just be there once, if you are elected as president, to close the conference, and if not, you'll be there to attend if Dr Snuki Zikalala is elected or Miki Khaya is elected. They close the conference and you are just there to listen without actively participating in this conference.
Of course, that's an anomaly for me. I would think that a candidate has to be part of the conference, he has to be visible at the conference, he has to interact with his supporters or delegates, whatever the case may be. The fact that you are absent and yet you are a nominee, it gives you some kind of a disadvantage. They put you in a very disadvantageous position. I don't know the reasons behind it. They are the best people to answer that question. But apparently, it was said to somebody that I'm not a delegate and therefore I should not be attending. And I was saying to the person, that's neither here nor there. Yes, I didn't attend the meeting in Joburg on Saturday that was electing delegates because I was in Cape Town. But then I received a letter of invitation from Comrade Susan Shabangu, who is the the coordinator of the Veterans League or deputy coordinator to say I'm invited to attend the conference. I accepted, and I even asked for details. They sent me the agenda, they sent me the time of registration, the venue of registration, and the time of the starting of conference. It's only late yesterday that I received another letter saying, no, by the way, sorry, we think that you are invited only for the closure and not the opening session. So I think they're the best person to answer that question.
Do you think you're being sabotaged?
Well, until such time that there's an explanation about that turn of events, I may not be able, I may be speculating to say that I'm being sabotaged. But clearly, I'm being disadvantaged compared to other candidates.
So in essence, you are saying that you are being disadvantaged compared to other candidates. So you may feel as if the current committee, interim committee that is preparing for this conference is trying to engineer an outcome that will see themselves being elected, looking at the fact that Dr Snuki Zikalala is contesting once again as president of the Veterans League. You've got Susan Shabangu and all other leaders of the interim structure also available to lead in the National Executive Committee and effectively also in the officials of the league.
Well, as a general principle, I can say yes, it's always the case that the incumbent will run processes of election or re-election of himself from an advantageous position. We'll ensure that he goes through. That's a general statement that I'm making. But specifically, I'm not sure about what's going on. I'm still waiting for Comrade Susan to come back to me, to explain to me what is going on.
Have you contacted her and asked her?
I've contacted her. I've sent her a number of texts. I called her. She has not yet responded. I take it that she's still very busy with the preparations of conference.
Will it be challenging, this particular letter that you were sent last night to the National Executive Committee of the ANC and to the SG, Fikile Mbalula, and to the head of organizing, Mr. Mduduzi Manana?
Well, I think it's still too early to say that I'm going to challenge the letter. I think that an explanation should be given. It might well be that they've got a good explanation that I will accept. So for now, I can't get to that conclusion.
When you look at the preparations for this Veterans League conference, these conferences of the Women's League, ANC Youth League have been marred by controversy. People alleging that there's manipulation in the run-up to these conferences. Was the run-up to this conference of the Veterans League fair and square for everyone?
Well, I can't for certain say it was fair and square for everyone. Because, you know, the details of what was happening, the preparations thereof, were very scanty. And some of us were not really very involved in the detail of preparing for conference. And therefore, we get, you know, bits and pieces here and there. And now, if at the end of it all, there are certain candidates that are going to be excluded from the processes of conference without clear explanations, then that's a cause for concern.
Mr. Yengeni, when you look at the ANC in this current political conjuncture, the Veterans League yesterday at their press briefing, Snuki Zikalala said that it's very worrying that the ANC is fraternizing, working with the economic freedom fighters, saying that the DA perhaps may be an alternative. The SG of the ANC has expressed a similar view, Fikile Mbalula. You are seemingly very close with Julius Malema. In fact, about a few months ago, you tweeted that you've got a date with the CIC in 2024. Who should the ANC be fraternizing with, engaging with in the run-up to these all-important general election in 2024?
Well, from where I sit, I understand that the National Executive Committee of the ANC has discussed the matter in one NEC meeting recently. I'm not sure what the outcome of that meeting was. But from where I stand myself, my understanding is that the ANC, in terms of our strategy and tactics, is a force of the left. We fraternize and interact with parties of a similar ideological perspective. And the DA, on the other hand, it's a right-wing, racist political entity that stands opposed to everything that the ANC stands for. So I do not understand that ANC leaders at that level can begin to want to fraternize with such a reactionary right-wing political entity like the DA. For me, the DA is the National Party of the New South Africa.
When you look at the ANC leadership, Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General, recently attacked you and said that people who fraternize with the EFF must just go to the EFF. You've not hidden your relationship with Julius Malema. Also, on the other hand, you've got leaders like Snuki Zikalala who are saying it's wrong for the ANC to fraternize with the EFF, Derek Honeycomb as well. But you've got people like Begum Dolo who are saying that it's wrong to only characterize the EFF as the only party wanting to get rid of the ANC in power. Is this issue of the ANC, which you raised at former President Jacob Zuma's court case, of the ANC being at an ideological crossroads, which the ANC cannot be able to come back from? Is the ANC there now?
The ANC is on an ideological crossroad because never was a time, in my understanding, where Oliver Tambo or Nelson Mandela will stand up in a public platform and condemn Steve Biko or PAC leaders or AZAPO leaders or other leaders of other black liberation movements and organizations in South Africa. Because they had an understanding that we may differ ideologically, we may differ politically, but we're the same people. Africans suffer under the same apartheid laws, under the same apartheid regime. And therefore our political differences were there, but they would never outwardly and openly condemn another black leader. Even the issue of Gatsha-Buthelezi in the ANC, it was a very sensitive matter. You know, we handled it with care. You see. So this new trend of taking public platforms and condemn black leaders because you differ with them politically, I do not understand. I do not agree with those who are saying that we must jump into bed with the DA. I don't. I think we share something with the EFF. We are trying to get support from the same pool of people, the poorest of the poor. That's our constituency. That's what we share. We may differ on how to do it, but even those young people in the EFF, they were all produced by the ANC. To some extent, you would even say that their current policies are policies that they got from the ANC. So this new ideological dichotomy that we must jump from this force of the left to a force of the right, I do not understand and I do not accept.
Mr. Yengeni, when you look at the veterans of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, in your last Congress of the Veterans League at Bedford Hotel, which elected you in the NEC, and Snuki Zikalala, he spoke about the veterans being a council of elders to guide the ANC. But it seemingly looks like the veterans are not singing from the same hymn book.
Yes, I think that that is correct. The way this was conceived, it was conceived as a council of elders, where elders and veterans of the ANC will come together, make sense of what is happening in the ANC, and then go and meet ANC leadership and counsel them, advise them, guide them. But along the line, it lost its track. It became a league. Now it's a league like other leagues, which to some extent for me has diluted the original idea and concept of a council of elders, which you find in many African countries in the continent, where political parties, especially those in power, they've got this council of elders of old people who sit there, and when things are going wrong, they're going sideways, they summon the leadership to a table to say, guys, please don't forget why we're here. Please stick to the original idea.